Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Hello, Crazy Cool parents, and welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast. This is our year-end podcast wrap-up.
Yeah, we are going to cruise through the podcast that we've done in the year 2022. Give them maybe a couple highlights, maybe a few quotes. We'll just see. We'll see what comes out.
We'll just see. We've been going through the podcast, and it's always fun to go through the podcast and just see what all we did. I mean, so sometimes we're like, oh yeah, we forgot about that one.
Oh, that was a good one. That was good. Yeah. So we've asked the Lord to highlight the ones that you guys need to be reminded of or know about, or maybe something that you've missed.
Some of you listen to every podcast. Some of you go through and listen to the ones that you choose, and we know
the ones that resonate with you, and that's what we want.
But maybe there's one that you need to go back to and just and listen to, and you know, maybe you have some time during the holidays with everybody coming home. Some people are off work and things like that. So.
We've had such amazing feedback on all of it. So many different, whether somebody's texted or Instagram messaged, or I love the podcast, I love this message. And so we just want to kind of represent the buffet of podcast, Crazy Cool Family Buffet podcasts to you, and just see if you maybe want to snack on it again.
Wow. That is a great way to bring it. There's somehow you got to do the analogy of presents too, Suzanne. So we can
okay, I'll think on that. I'll work on that.
We started the years. Suzanne got a word and just said that we need to fight for family, and that was the first 6 months of the year. And so,
yeah, it's absolutely, it was very powerful and very clear from the Lord. I just got a sense that, all of us families out there, we were fighting for our relationships within our family. We're fighting for the time within our family. We're fighting for energy. And so it just opened up this gateway of all these ideas of what it is we're fighting for. And so what we did is we went through and we simplified it basically by breaking down the word fight. And so super simple. We started with, the F is faith. We have to have the faith. And so we talked about that in one of the podcasts. That's what our weapon is faith. And then we
went to inspiration, and I love that because, we loved the power of encouragement to inspire our kids and to build relationships. Went to the G, and that's forgiving. We give. It's not just giving financially, but we give our best to our family. And we went through that. We went through that podcast of how to give your best, how to be your best, and to give your best.
And then I wish that the H had been an A for affection, but it wasn't. So we chose hugs. But it's really the hugs represent affection. How powerful, important it is that we touch our kids, that we connect with our spouses through touch. Touch is such a powerful, powerful tool that God has given us to connect with one another.
Yeah, so faith, inspiration, giving, hugs, and T for teaching.
Which we love because we are teachers at heart. And so, and that's one of the things that we get to do as parents is we get to teach our kids. So we did a podcast on each one of those, and we just focused on that. And what those podcasts did is they just taught us how to listen and connect with our kids, how to teach our kids to come to their own conclusions.
But if you remember at the beginning of 2022, we were still kind of coming off the pandemic somewhat, and there was a lot of apathy.
Right.
And it was that was a good word that we just wanted to challenge parents to say, hey, get in the game.
Yeah.
Get in the game, go. And at that point, we also just continued it with a lot of guests. And because we wanted to, then we figured y'all were tired of hearing from us. And so we had to, but we really got to, this is the first year we've really connected with a lot of outside guests.
Yeah, and the thought process behind that was when I felt like the Lord gave me the word fight, I wanted to recruit as many people as I could in as many areas to empower and equip us to fight. And so we brought what I would call specialists in.
Yeah.
And so the first one was Julie Pierce, someone that goes to our church that is anointed in leadership. And she talked about fighting for leadership. And she said, so many quotes that were just gold, but she said, every situation is a leadership situation. Every life lesson is a leadership lesson. And so if that's one of the places where if you haven't listened to it, or your kids, you're struggling with leadership and how to teach leadership or show your kids leadership, then go back to that episode 158 with Julie Pierce. It was amazing. And she talked about the difference between a worldly leader and a kingdom leader, and that we're all called to raise these kingdom leaders.
Yeah, and that everyone's a leader, and that we're all leaders in certain ways. We all have leaders, and we all have influences. And it was just, and as parents, we model leadership. And she even said, like, what we celebrate, we replicate. So many other just guests that were so, that's a good way. And when you go through episodes like 158 through like 170, we're just looking through and we're like, wow, we had a lot of guests during that time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah. And so the next guest, which is a family that I would say we've now adopted a little bit, Don connected with him, was Jeff. So just mention just for 1 second.
Yeah, Jeff's got he does a men's podcast, and they actually travel with their 4 kids in an RV. Months and months out of the
Which
year.
is what your dream would do, that, right? You wanted to. When our kids were younger, Don.
No.
You
that's
travel cross country.
Not for 9 months like he's done. It's just a whole nother. So he's a dad. He's a dad advocate. He works with dads all over the country to help them join the fight for family.
Yep, we talked about fighting for forgiveness, and then we talked about committing to fight for our family, vision, culture, how to change your family from the inside out. What is it that you always say, Don?
What do I say? What I say, Suzanne, is I'm not going to lose the fight for my kids.
Right.
Is that I remember being a younger parent and saying, I'm not going to lose this battle. If I do, I'm going to go down kicking and screaming and fighting and bloody and battered and bruised, because it's worth the fight. And I'm going to figure out how to fight, and I'm going to figure out what it takes. And it's not going to be for lack of energy, which was also episode 162. We talked about finding energy for your family.
And I say in there, the reason that kids have so much energy is because they're carefree and they have the freedom to play all day. And if as us as parents, if we will tap into that a little bit, and I've always thought that Don has always had way more energy than me, because I was bogged down with the work of it all. But he would work, and then he would come home and he would play. And so he would tap into the energy of a child because he played. And that's where we get our energy, when we have fun, play, laugh.
Yeah, I just tell dads that a lot, is that one of the biggest things you can do is not be passive and to bring energy to the table, which actually led us into that episode 163 with Colleen.
Actually, the episode 163 with Colleen Stickle was Step into the Spiritual Fight. That was the vision behind the whole series, is to empower and equip parents to fight for their kids on the spiritual realm. Because there is a fight there, whether we believe it or we see it or we've seen it, it is happening. And so Colleen is an expert. She teaches how to fight on the spiritual realm all the time. And she came in and she talked about Ephesians 6:12. Our fight is not against flesh and blood or toddlers or teenagers. I'm sure it says that. It's against the rulers, the authorities, and the powers of the dark. The biggest battle is not what we can see with our eyes, but against Satan and his forces. That's what Colleen, to sum up that podcast. So if you haven't engaged in spiritual fighting, or you don't understand it, or you very much do understand it and need to be renewed and refreshed, then go back and listen to podcast 163. It's incredible. She's so articulate. She's absolutely amazing. And it really will inspire you and empower you to fight.
Which is funny, because then we follow it up with Tim Hawkins, which is like, it was just a silly how to bring laughter, but it's really, I really think it's fitting because laughter is part of the spiritual, just bringing life and energy and hope. All that's just about the fight for family is not a fight that is this angry battle.
Right.
It's a battle for joy. It's a battle for, and so.
We talked about fight for truth, fight for generosity. And then another one of my favorite podcasts was actually with Colleen Stickles' mom, who's named Ann, and she has a whole marriage ministry. And we talked about fighting for our marriage. And Ann says what starts with God will overflow into your family and your marriage relationship. And she's incredible. She just blessed me so much. I would highly recommend going back and listening to that one if you want to bless your marriage.
And then we started wrapping up the fight series. This was actually one of my favorite, even though I wasn't in there. It was from Madeline, and she shared with us about the struggles.
Well, I just was driving in the car with her, and I was like, Madeline, what are you fighting for? And she goes, Mom, what if I'm losing the fight?
Right.
And I was like, oh, babe, I bet that resonates with a lot of parents out there, that they feel like they're losing it. They have an ideal. They want to fight for truth, generosity, fun, forgiveness, all the things that we've mentioned and all the ideals that they have in their mind. And so we kind of just talked about that a little bit and what that looks like. And we talked about ways to exchange losing it to winning. We talked about getting out. I mean, super practical. Madeline and I are super practical.
It's interesting to me is that if you looked at Madeline's life, she's winning. She is winning the battle, but she feels like she's losing. And so you really get some insight into, hey, it's all, we are not alone in this journey. We all feel like at times we're losing the battle, and just some ways to counter that. And it goes back even to what Colleen's talking about. We're fighting a spiritual battle, and how do we fight that when we feel like we're losing? I thought that was just a great, it's a great podcast for parents that are maybe a little bit discouraged right now to go back and get some energy from, no doubt.
And so we wrapped up the fight series with the last 3 episodes. We talked about sibling investments and how to fight in every season. We just kind of rounded out the whole series. And so,
what were that was a long series for us, long as we've ever done. So what would you say what were your thoughts as we completed that? What message would you give to parents?
Yeah, I mean, my message, started from the very beginning that we are in a battle and we are fighting, and to be aware of it, to be prepared for it, and to not be heavy laden and burdened by it, but almost it's like we get to fight. I mean, we're fighting for something that's worth it. We're fighting for something that's amazing. We've been given this gift of family. What are you going to do with it? Not, family, know? And so that's what I would say is that's why, fight for it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I really got out of it, especially talking to all those different people that we had on our podcast, that we fight in the way we fight is different than we think. And, even when we started, it's faith, it's inspiration, it's, what's the other one? It's,
giving, to serve, to love.
Oh yeah, fight. I was on faith. For some reason, I had the word faith. I was like, "What's the A word?" I was on the word faith, and I was like, "What's the
A is affection?" Remember, that's what I wanted A to be in fight.
It didn't work at all. So I was on the wrong word. So the fight, the fight was, it was faith. I mean, think about the words: faith, inspiration, giving of yourself, hugs, and teaching. It's not. Fight like argue or control,
yelling and screaming.
Control is a
good word.
That is, it's all about, just being an inspiring, having energy, knowing the spiritual battle that's out there, being able to laugh. All those things are the way we fight. God's ways to fight are not the world's ways to fight. And so it's really cool just to think about, and we hope that, and maybe even right now, you may be in this, sometimes the holiday season can be discouraging for parents. And so one of the things we would encourage you to do is go back and listen and get back in the game, get back in the fight to some of those podcasts that resonate with you.
Yeah. And so then we got to transition into our summer series that led us all the way up to the summer. And
I really like this one. I really liked it because
we invited all the Manning kids, and we thought, well, if we're going to interview all of our friends and all these people we know and we don't know, then we need to, pull the Manning kids in and talk to each one of them. And this was your revelation from God. This was the one that you were like, I think it would be valuable to put each of our kids on and have them share what it was like, what we did raising them, the good, the bad, the ugly, what it was like to be
which was kind of scary in a way because we didn't know what they would say. Not really, but it was really, really interesting both for us. And I've had just so many people come to me and say that they have so enjoyed getting to know our kids. And really, it's kind of how Crazy Cool Family was birthed. A lot of people came to us and said, hey, you have a connection with your kids. What's going on? How's this happening? The questions that we were asking those parents ahead of us. And we were like, hey, I don't know. Let's think about this. And a lot of that out of those discussions with our kids later, once we started to think about forming the ministry, became the basis for what we teach at Crazy Cool Family. So a lot of those insights are in there as you talk to the kids and you see, because we ask them, what was it like when you were 3? What was it like when you were 8 years old? And then they say, we don't remember when we were 3. And they go,
well, one other thing, I've had so much feedback on these too, on this series as well. So many people have said, oh, I so related to Mackenzie, being the middle child or the youngest daughter. I so related to Macy because she was emotional and I have this emotional child and I don't know what to do. Or I've so related to Molly as the oldest and having the responsibility and I don't know how to transition that to my oldest child. And so it is, it will give you insight into and the whole goal was to give you insight into each one of your children and to know each one of your children individually and specifically. Maybe through knowing our kids.
And one of the things we've been talking about a lot internally at Crazy Cool Family and just with parents that we're interacting with is the adult world versus the kid world. And I think you really get some insight into, as you talk to our kids and they reflect back of what their kid world was like at that time and how we were able to connect with their kid world as we brought them into the adult world, especially as they got older, and as they transitioned. Suzanne even talks about how, our kids go from a bridge from being a little kid to an adult. And sometimes in those podcasts, you get to go all the way through their lives as you see the different stages. And it's just really cool to see how, and their different personalities. It's a really good series. If you haven't listened to it, it's worth going back and making that happen.
And what I say to my children all the time when they speak or do a podcast to you guys, you parents out there, is I want you, Molly, Madeline, Macy, Mackenzie, Michael, Max, McCade, to be an ambassador for our Crazy Cool Family children. You're going back and remembering what it was like to be a child because you've now become an adult and you can go back and share that. But these families out there, they're still raising their children and their children are still children, so they can't speak to them like an adult. And so I kind of see our children as a translator for you and between you, an interpreter between you and your child. So that was the summer series. So go back and listen to any one of those that resonates with you that you need to, connect with whichever child. And then we went into our fall series.
Yeah, the fall series was Pursue God. So if you've been around Crazy Cool Family for any length of time, you know that if you go to our Crazy Cool Family house, the top of it is Pursue God. And we talk to parents a lot about how the best thing you can do for your family is to present them the healthiest version of you. We talk about how the best fathers and mothers are first sons and daughters of the King. And so we wanted to spend the rest of the year, again, a lot of guests and things like that, but just pursuing how the pursuit of God helped parents in their spiritual walk. And how it helped their family. And so, and again, a lot of guests, these are episodes 179 through 188 pretty much.
Yeah, and Don did a bunch of these, talked to a bunch of different men, which I love. I absolutely love Don's heartbeat for the father and for the man of the family and going after the family. And he went and he found men. Chad Hennings, football player. I mean, that's an incredible 180, incredible episode. When Macy was listening to it and editing it, she made her husband listen to it, and she's like, he is an incredible man. And so much wisdom. And another one that I was actually jealous that I couldn't be on, I think I was out of town, is Kim Kimberling. I have followed him forever. He does an awesome marriage ministry, and I don't know how long he's been doing it, for decades. And Don got him on our podcast, and I was like, dude, he's a celebrity. I mean, Chad's a celebrity too. I mean, anyway, I was like, Tim Hawkins was a celebrity too. I was just like, this is amazing. I can't believe it. So
yeah, other guys that are there in that series, Dan Luig's a very successful businessman who just has a great ministry to men. Larry Hagner has a big men's podcast. John Staines written a number of books and is a pastor up in the Midwest. Just a bunch of, and then we sprinkled in some other things about from us personally in there, but all around the parent to God relationship and how important that is into your family, and how it's the most important relationship you pursue. From the Chad Hennings podcast, for example, you just got to see a guy who had to go. He's got a son. I don't want to give the podcast away, but he's got a son who has
it's episode 180. If you want to go listen to it, yeah. He's got a son.
He's got who was in a wheelchair basically, and so you think about this big football player who's got a son that can't walk, and all the things he went through, and the faith challenges, and how God drove him deep. Just things like that are just an example of through Kim Kimberling, it's how your marriage is impacted by your relationship with God, that even not only for our kids, but for our marriage relationship, that we got to get healthy if we're going to have a healthy marriage. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Kim really goes into that with his 3-4 decades of counseling he's done with married couples, and just shares some key insights about how your relationship with God affects your marriage.
Yeah, and so that was this Pursuing God series. And then the last 4 podcasts of the year, we talked a little bit about the holidays and how to get caught up.
Don't you just love that term?
DAZE, to get caught up in that. Maybe you haven't listened to those yet. I encourage you to do that if you're still in the middle of the holidays. And then another one of my favorite podcasts, Macy and I got to do with my sweet friend Jill Hawkins. And this one is getting us teed up for, I would say, the new year and the new you. And it's just coaching your inner self and what it means to be a pleaser. You want to take care of everybody else. And she's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend that you go listen to that one, episode 191, as a gift to yourself as you prepare, because we say all the time, the healthiest, best version of yourself is when you present that, then you have the healthiest, best wife. You are the healthiest, best wife, the healthiest, best mom, Yeah. And so encourage you to listen to that.
Yeah, and then we wrapped it up with a guy who's become a dear friend of mine this year, Chris Granger. Chris has got a men's ministry, but really his story is so powerful because there was just some loss in his life. Again, not going to steal the thunder of the podcast, and so he's had to overcome a lot in his faith. And man, talk about a guy with a deep faith, and it's a powerful podcast to end the year out. So man, what a year! What a year of just so many people, so many fun people.
Yeah, we got lots of words, lots of revelation, thoughts, and like you said, wise people into our lives. It just being able to look back on it just makes me smile, just makes me beam. And so just encourage you to go back and listen to any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you'll have some time that, so if you're working out or you're maybe want to get away from maybe all the chaos of the home, and you just want to get outside for a minute, maybe go for a walk, and put our podcast on. And so, and also we wanted to end this year with just a quick update on Crazy Cool Family in general. We don't talk a lot about that in the podcast, but every once in a while we like to update you. We've had a lot, along with the podcast this year and all the stuff we've done. We've had this has been a crazy good year for Crazy Cool Family as well. So one of the things that happens is that some of you may know that I have been employed in the real estate business for while we've been growing this ministry, and I kind of waffle between two different careers. And one of the things I did this summer is that real estate career I have left.
You kissed it goodbye. You went, mwah, see ya.
Exactly. And
I'm gonna go do Crazy Cool Family.
So I still have some business interest I do on the side, but really was able to become a full-time leader of Crazy Cool Family, and that's been really exciting. We are almost didn't, it was interesting, just new rhythms, new life, and so that's been really good. And with that, once I put more energy to things, we start to ramp up things, and so we are looking to, and one of the things we found kind of post-pandemic is one of the ways that we have done really well with growing our ministry. There are literally thousands of people thousands of families in our base camp membership side. We've grown it a ton this year, but we are really working hard on getting more engagement with families. And what we find is, and if you're not engaged in base camp, the tools are out there. They're sitting there for you, but we find that, it's in the busyness of life, people don't engage with it all the time. But we find that when they do, we are seeing transformed families over and over and over again. Literally, I'm leading about 30 men through some stuff in Monday mornings, and man after man just says, the atmosphere of my home has changed.
Radically changed the culture. It does. Just do a real quick sentence or two in case someone's never heard of base camp before. Sorry, that was my water bottle just going to the ground.
So basecamp.crazycoolfamily.com. It's a free membership site, and and once you get in there, so you sign up for free, you get a return email. It takes about a minute to sign up, and then when you go in there, go into the core courses, and there's also some and in the core courses you'll see we basically give you a playbook for family, and there's also a way through what we call our base camp trails, which is also in that same page, that you can go in there and it just makes it through 3 8-week sessions that you can do to cover all of our core material.
So if you haven't joined Base Camp, come join it. Like Don said, it's free. That would be one way to participate in Crazy Cool Family. You're listening to the podcast. That's another way.
Yeah.
Follow us on social media, Instagram at Crazy Cool Family, Facebook, Crazy Cool Family. Either one of those would be great. What's another way that these amazing families out there can engage with us?
Well, we need your money, basically. If, and especially...
What is that? What was that Little Rascals? We need your money.
Yeah.
Those little kids. Oh, so cute.
We need to build a clubhouse.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, we need to build a clubhouse for Base Camp.
What we're doing is we're hiring people to engage more and more parents. And so, because we're so lean, we don't have a building. We don't have anything. Everything we do is on Microsoft Teams. We got people all over the country that are contracting with us. But the resources that we are gaining right now are going to hire more people to engage more parents to build more Crazy Cool Families. And so if you're, whether it be year end or not, we don't know when you're listening to this, but we're a 501c3, and so you can go to crazycoolfamily.com/donate or go to our Crazy Cool Family, hit the donate button, and set up a monthly gift or set up a one-time gift if that works better for you. Some people like to give it year end, but we are rapidly expanding our ministry and our reach. And if if this is a passion of your heart and you have room to be able to support us, we would really appreciate that.
And for the first time ever in Crazy Cool Family history, we have created an official Crazy Cool Family t-shirt. And if you sign up to give a reoccurring donation, then we will send you a t-shirt. And so keep that in mind. I think that's on the donate page, and that's all those details are there. And so if you want to start repping Crazy Cool Family and what you're wearing, then that's a way to do it.
And it's a good looking shirt too. Hey, so we appreciate all your support. We appreciate the encouraging words you give us. We appreciate the financial support of so many people that help us. We appreciate you guys listening to us and telling other people about us.
Yeah, and sharing us, telling and then we really, 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 above all else, appreciate your prayers. We appreciate that you're praying for us, that you're praying for Crazy Cool Family, our ministry, that you're praying for all the crazy cool families out there, because we know that your heart beats ours, and that the family is a gift from God, and it's one of the most important things we get to do here on earth. And we want to gather as many families in as we can so that they can live that gift of family as well.
Yeah, the statistic that keeps me up at night is that
Don,
2/3.
Nothing keeps you up at night.
is that worries me greatly. How about that? That 2/3 of kids leaving Christian homes won't follow the Lord.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, going back to years ago, I said we're going 7 for 7.
Yeah, that's not our.
And every family that touches Crazy Cool Family, I want to be 100% of those kids following Jesus, and
scoop them all up. That's what I see.
And I believe that if parents go through I believe strongly. I believe absolutely that if they go through our material that's in the core courses or read the book, and that it improves your odds greatly of building a family where kids love Jesus, kids love you, kids love each other, and the family is unified and whole, because it's just worked in our family. We've seen it work in thousands of other families, and so we just encourage you to listen to a podcast, go into Base Camp, listen to the videos that are there, watch the videos, read the book, encourage others to do it, give to Crazy Cool Family, because we're on a mission to fight for family, just like we did at the start of the year. And the fight's not over just because 2022 is over. The fight's still on in 2023. In fact, the culture is getting worse and worse, so we got to fight even harder in next year to make it happen. So any final words? Those are my final words. Do you have final words for our people as we sign off of 2022?
Yep, I was going to say we're going to take a few weeks break, so you'll have plenty of time to go back and listen to the 2022 podcast if you've missed a few over these next few weeks, and we will see you middle of January 2023. Woohoo!
So, as always, parents, go be crazy. We hope you have a great Christmas, a great New Year. Spend some time thinking about what are your goals for 2023. What are your family goals for 2023? Spend some time reflecting about the blessings of 2022, and really just enjoy your family, enjoy this holiday season. And as always, go be crazy, parents. CrazyCoolFamily.com.